On to the CCSC Victory Sports Wrap. It's Rick RJ Jullienne, joined of course by
Dale the coach, Eggleton.
And once again we're going to track through the sporting career of a pretty amazing guy who has, on his sporting field, played at some of the most iconic venues around the world against some of the legends of the sport. But before we get into who it is, let's thank our sponsors, our major sponsor. Firstly, Central Coast Sports College, and also Easy Mix Concrete. And Dale, we talk about where you've been, who you've played against. This guy has done it all.
Yes, RJ, it's tennis royalty here on the Central Coast, Nathan Healey. Despite being talented at several other sports, Nathan was always destined to follow in the footsteps of his previous family generations and have a career in tennis, and he certainly left his imprint. In his playing career as a junior, he represented Australia in the finals of the World Youth Cup, and he defeated the likes of Lleyton Hewitt and Roger Federer. He played in all junior Grand Slams all over the world with the same passion, drive, intensity and focus that were trademarks of his career. As a senior on the professional tour, he achieved in both singles and doubles, reaching a career high of 157 ranking in the singles and 57 in doubles. He won 3 ATP doubles titles in Sydney, Poland and Beijing. But the special one was winning the Sydney International doubles title with his close friend Paul Hanley. In 2005, he reached the third round of the Australian Open and was the last Australian standing when he took on world number 4 Nikolai Davydenko. In 2007, he played for Australia in the Hopman Cup and was part of the Davis Cup squad. In the years 2007-2008, playing team tennis, we will learn of the tennis legends, both male and female, he played and defeated. He turned to coaching after his playing career, coaching longtime friend Lleyton Hewitt, Sam Groth, Max Purcell, and among many others. He spent time commentating on the game and he founded Play Awake. He will give us a genuine insight into Play Awake, what it involves and how it is motivating and helping athletes realise their full potential. We will hear of how he overcome and recovered from an aortic aneurysm and how he is continuing to coach, impart his knowledge and experience on the next generations. It is with great pleasure, Nath, we welcome you to the Victory Wrap.
Well, thank you for having me.
Mate, that's quite a career, and we're going to track through that over the next 45 minutes to an hour. And looking at what you sent through, I mean, I'm up to 2 pages just covering it.
I feel like we could wrap it there.
Nath, we talk about the talent you had for other sports as a youngster. Tell us about that and the family as a youngster.
As a youngster, yeah, I mean, I always had that determined mindset, had a passion and drive with anything I did, and I just think that's in the family blood. But yeah, played soccer, athletics, they're a big part of my younger years, but tennis took over eventually. Obviously, that family influence had a bit to do with that.
Well, I think you were raised on tennis. Your grandparents and your parents ran Gosford Tennis Club for decades, so you were around tennis and the balls and the rackets probably as a little baby, weren't you?
Yeah, I like to say I was running around that club in nappies. And yeah, it was, they all had a passion for the sport. They were coaching, playing, and I spent a lot of time at that tennis club.
Well, no, it's an advantage too, because as you know now, a coach yourself, it's important to instill the right technique, the important things to become a good player. So you were getting that at training and after training with your grandparents and your parents having the courts. Did that hold you in good stead as a junior to progress through the ranks so rapidly?
Absolutely. As I mentioned, I was on the soccer field a little bit and running around the athletic track, but being around those sports as well helped me as an athlete. But yeah, the amount of hours my dad spent with me on the tennis court was huge. There were millions of balls hit over the years.
Well, you talk about your dad. He made the Wimbledon qualifying round, and you picked up a racket age 9. When did you get to beat him?
Oh, this is contentious. Yeah, I say 12.
Right.
But he's like, no, I let you win. So in my memory bank, I'm like, no, I
Stick with 12. Stick with 12. That's all right.
But I don't know. Mum will have to be the adjudicator on this one.
Nath, you talk about drive and passion. You had that at a young age. You were even designing your own training regimes to work outside of those tennis sessions to make sure you had that fitness under your belt.
Absolutely, yeah. I was always had that self-motivation, and I remember spending many mornings down on Allen Davidson Oval, running down the hill of Mallison Street, and I was up early and designing those programs, and really loving it. I liked that suffering, I guess. But I was up and down our driveway, very steep driveway on Maranoa Street, and just felt like that gave me a great foundation to become the athlete that I did become, and hopefully still.
I'm just intrigued about your own training schedule you devised when you were 10. Now, what did you work off? Did you look at other things that other kids were doing, or was it totally your own design?
It was all AI.
Yeah, before it was invented.
No, it was definitely. I think I just had a good connection with my body and recognised what I needed. I read a lot. I studied Olympic athletes. I was fascinated with the Olympics and what they were doing. Listened to the interviews, and but I think really it was just noticing what my body needed, and having that from a young age and being able to. Just figure out what was on offer. Like, so if there's a hill, how can I use this hill? If there's a brick wall, if there's, weights, I'd be able to improvise really easily. And that's carried across into my coaching.
Sure.
Well, Nate, others were noticing it as well because you were making state teams, state squads, national teams. Tell us about those early years and that rise through, who you come up against and who might have been some of your opponents as well.
Well, obviously Lleyton stands out. There are many top players, Glenn Knox, a few others that are well known in the tennis world, but Lleyton obviously is famous throughout Australia and globally. But growing up with him was always, we had a few tussles back and forth. I did beat him a few times. 16 nationals. Grass court rings a bell. Funnily enough, he can't remember that.
You'll have to send him this podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
I found the trophy too. So Lleyton, I'm going to send it to him. But he won the 18s the following week, so I think he's placed more emphasis on that result. But having the wins against Lleyton, travelling with him, we just got along so well, and it was a joy to travel the world and be part of those international events, and that really gave me the confidence to turn professional eventually. Yeah.
So, travelling with Lleyton and playing against him, what was he like as a young teenager? I mean, we know him from the Davis Cup and the professional Grand Slam events. What was he like? A friend of yours, but what was his personality like?
Well, I mean, he's always a competitor on the court. Once he's on there, it's a competitive battle, that's for sure. And he'll never give up. I mean, that guy, the amount of match points that are against him and he's finding a way back is just remarkable. I'm always fascinated by that. But off the court, he was competitive in anything he did. I remember spending time at his house playing pool, playing golf with him in the Bahamas. That's obviously later on, but he had a passion for life and was always a student of the game. My parents speak about him sitting in the living room while I was off doing other things, playing with my brothers or whatever. He was glued to the TV watching matches. So he was always constantly learning, and I mean, it shows that he just loves the sport.
Yeah, exactly.
Nath, Australia has such a great history in the Davis Cup. You started to witness that at a young age. 16, you called in with Lleyton as Orange Boys. Tell us about that experience. Seeing Pat Rafter, what he was achieving, but tell us about, you learned some other lessons off the court to that time.
I didn't think we were going there, mate. I mean, it was a wonderful experience being around John Newcombe and Tony Roach and Pat Rafter. training with him, seeing the intensity of all the players, Woodbridge, who else was there? Philippoussis was around. It was a wonderful learning experience. White City, this particular tie was played against France, and this was really a springboard for Pat's career, and Nuke had a lot to do with that. He won I can't remember the detail. I think the party night, which you wanted to get onto, it's a little bit blurry, but we certainly had a lot of fun. Nuke and Roachy know how to party for sure. I ended up on stage. I think it was about 2 a.m. in the morning. Tie around my head. I had the Australian flag over my shoulders. And I think it was, I don't know, like 2 bottles of wine. So not my finest moment, but never forget, in the morning I was so sick. And, John Newcomb called the room and he's like, "Where are you? Get to the courts now." And so he's put me out. It's like 40 degrees out on an oval. I'm running around with the trainer named Moose, and he's throwing a frisbee. And so I'm just running to these three. If I caught it, I was able to throw it back from that spot, but if I dropped it, I had to sprint it back into him. It was punishment. And, definitely unforgettable.
Did you get to practice against all these big names you've mentioned, have a bit of a hit as a young guy, and get the experience of what it's going to be like in future years for you?
Yeah, we did. Yes, and they just as I said, the intensity that they brought to every practice session, that focus. Sure, it was fun off the court, but once it was practice time, it was game on. Actually, Pat was more frustrated practicing than what he was during matches. He tended to channel that energy, but if he wasn't happy with his practice, the racket was flying.
Another frisbee.
Yeah, another frisbee. That's right.
Well, Nathan, you're still only 16 and you get to represent Australia at World Youth Cup final. Tell us what that experience is like and your memories of that.
Yeah, it's a while ago now, but being with Darren Cahill, he was coach of a few teams at that point. And we ended up beating Switzerland in the semi-finals. And I think I didn't play Roger in that. I believe Lleyton did, but we lost in the final to France. So we lost both singles, but we were able to snatch the doubles, I think it gave us all belief that we could compete on the world stage. And being with Darren, one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he hadn't really taken off at that point. I think it was Lleyton and then Agassi, but being with him. And us doing so well, I think, gave us the belief.
All right, moving to Melbourne to train with the Institute of Sport. So was this a complete change from where you're living? You're away from home, I guess, and all that sort of stuff, and mixing with specialists in their field. So how did that go?
If I was to do it again, I wouldn't go to Melbourne.
Right.
It was leaving my home environment, which was going so well. I think it was difficult as a 17-year-old on the cusp of 17, but to leave home so young. I lived 45 minutes out of the city. I would still train really hard. I was around some decent coaches, but I just lost that home connection. And I speak to parents about this, about sending their kids off and away from the home environment can be challenging. So really think it through. If you choose that path, because having that grounding of the home environment, I think, is important for the development of young performers.
Sure. Yeah.
Sometimes, Nath, when you look back, the memory's not the greatest, but you must remember when you beat Roger Federer in his home country of Switzerland. That must have been a standout. Talk us through that.
Did they run you out of town?
Not quite. Roger hadn't, hit his straps as yet. He was 16. Yeah, beautiful country. I remember the Swiss Alps, just catching the train through the Alps and looking up at the mountains, just in awe of that nature. The courts were a cute little tennis club, and I think 10 courts or so. But we were in the third round. Darren was with me, and Peter Carter, who was Roger's coach at the time, and he was with him pretty much into his early 20s before he tragically died in South Africa.
Right.
But those years, Peter and Darren, great friends, and Roger and I were battling it out. We had similar game styles. So I had single-handed backhand. We both liked to get forward to the net, but I came up trumps, and definitely one that I can bring out at a party.
At a party.
But So it was fun times just being on tour, and
Out of all the Grand Slams, you played them all as a junior. Which one did you really like going to and competing, and had the better results, if you want to call that? What was your favourite Grand Slam?
Oh, they're all. This is always a difficult question because they all have their charm. But being in Australia, having the Australian support is always a joy. Summertime, there's that vibe. In the Australian Open's exploded over the years into a massive event. But
Sure.
But Wimbledon, has that tradition that's always beautiful to be part of. I'd rank, let's say, US Open. I'd probably put that at the bottom of my choices.
Right. Yes.
So I would say it's Australian Open, Wimbledon, then the French, and then the US Open. But
this won't be going to America, by the way.
It's intriguing.
My wife's American.
It's intriguing, but Nath, Australians have had success abroad more so in winning singles titles than here in Australia, like the Pat Rafters, the Lleyton Hewitts and the like. Why do you think that might be? Do you think there's too much pressure on them to do well here in Australia and not so much when they have won titles at Wimbledon, US Open and the French?
Yeah, good question. I think it has a little bit to do with the surfaces. It's a little bit, generally a bit quicker at Wimbledon and at the US Open. Maybe having that extra pressure here at home could take its toll. More media commitments, maybe.
Sure. Yep.
And leading in a few more distractions. Lleyton came close. What was it? 2004. He losing to Marat Safin in the final.
I think we would remember Marat and the women in the stage. Don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. He had a way with the women. That's for sure.
At 97, turned professional. You're on the big stage, Nathan. So you got plenty of. You win lots of matches. 70 against some really good players. And was there a highlight in those formative years as you're working your way up the rankings ladder, if you like?
Well, I had a patellar tendonitis injury, so that sort of steered me towards the doubles court. So I had a lot of success on the doubles court, and ended up halving my ranking every year. I love being in that independence of making my own money, and then the having the win in Sydney was enormous. So there was a few years where I couldn't make the singles tournament. So if you made semis of the doubles event, then you couldn't make singles of the next tournament. So that all of a sudden you're doing well week in, week out. You haven't played singles for a month. Yeah. So that made it difficult to really pick up singles. Even though my knee was doing better, it wasn't until I was 24 that I circled back to the singles court.
Nathan, I'm sure as a coach now you tell players that doors shut and open in your career all the time. Opportunity came for you. Hopman Cup 2007. Mark Philippoussis goes down with an injury. You come in. Tell us about that experience with Alicia Molik going in as a team's environment here in Australia. How good that was.
It was phenomenal. Anytime you put the jersey on for Australia, it's a great feeling. And I was lucky to get the call up. When I was in Adelaide, and it was certainly last minute. And it was like, hey, Flip's out. Let's get across to Perth, and spending time with Alicia. We knew each other well from juniors, so I was very comfortable being on court with her. And having the crowd support here in Australia is definitely a lot of fun.
All right, well, we'll get back with Nathan in just a minute, but I've got a massive shout out to our major sponsor, Central Coast Sports College, CCSC. If you're a parent of a young aspiring athlete on the coast, or if you are that athlete, you need to hear this. CCSC is not your average school. It's the only school in New South Wales with a full-time, fully integrated sports program every single day. They're all about helping young athletes pursue their sporting dreams without sacrificing their education, and developing the whole person both on and off the field. And as those student athletes move into senior high, CCSC takes it a step further with real-world learning, internships and experiences to help them figure out their future. So if you're looking for a school where young athletes truly take responsibility for their learning and their sporting aspirations. Check out CCSC, Central Coast Sports College. You can find out more at their website, ccsc.nsw.edu.au. Give your child the best of both worlds.
Nath, you're doing well at singles and doubles. Do you think that was to your advantage coming into the Davis Cup squad?
Yes, absolutely. Reaching the third round of the Australian Open in 2005, that was a highlight of my singles career, and yeah, I was really playing well then, and found that confidence on the singles court. I mean, I had to work hard to get in that position after focusing on doubles for so many years, but worked my way up, got to 150-ish in the world, 155, 158 or something. But yeah, that helped me get into that squad, and unfortunately I didn't play for Australia, but I was there to support once again. A little different than when I was 16, but no, it was great to be around the team, and with Lleyton and Paul Hanley, my doubles partner, he played, and he had a win there at Kooyong. And
so when you talk about that third round of the Australian Open, if you win that, who would you have come up against? Like you were a couple of rounds away from a quarter-final spot, weren't you?
Yes.
You've got a big smile on your face with this one.
Well, I would have played Roger.
Okay.
And to be honest, I didn't look ahead. I had no idea. I was just taking it one step at a time. But as I say, now that I'm coaching, I really didn't have that belief to knock off the number 4 in the world. I was there to compete with him, but there were a few mental barriers that I was bumping up against that I was unaware of. And this is where I get into my play awake stuff, because I don't think I really unlocked my potential.
Sure.
I think I did well, but I think my abilities could have been easily top 50 in the world. I just didn't know how to, get rid of these limiting beliefs at the time.
Yeah. And
the mental side definitely let me down, which I'm sure a lot of athletes and performers can relate to.
Absolutely.
Nath, give us an insight. We turn our TV on January, Australian Open, watch from first round through to final, similar to Wimbledon. But tell us, as a competitor, all those qualifying rounds that the normal players on circuit have to go through before they get to that first round.
Yeah, I mean it's brutal. It's a lot. Like you've got three matches before you even start in the main draw, and you're out on the back course. And what I think what the public doesn't see at times is that the main draw players and the seeded players in particular are playing out on and practicing out on the Rod Laver arenas and the show courts leading well into the tournament. So they're used to the speed of the court, which is often different from the outside courts. And then having played in full packed stadiums, for the whole year, and then you get a qualifier who comes into that arena and is like, whoa, this is a whole nother ball game, and the court size is another thing, where you normally on the outdoor courts, if you hit a smash into the side fence, the point's done. But out on the centre courts, that's not finished. So all of a sudden you get your rappers running those down.
That's
and
right.
Like, hey, wait, I'm supposed to have won that point. Stop, time out.
Yeah, it's not supposed to come back at that speed. Yeah. So what were you like in front of crowds? And we go back to that Australian Open, the third round. The crowd's getting bigger. You're getting closer to that quarter-final. What were you like with the crowds yourself?
Oh, it was a buzz. I reference this match a lot because it was so meaningful in many ways. But I was the last Australian standing. I was known as a journeyman, which I wasn't a fan of at the time. But,
a traveller.
I was like, hey, come on, I don't like that saying. But anyway, I went out. It had been a hot day. It was a hot day, and so everyone was out drinking all day. So they're half tanked, and it's say 7 o'clock, and we finally went on because it was so hot. We got on, and I got blown away in the first set. I'm like, this is the best baseliner I've ever faced. And looking back, I understand that what he was doing was trying to scare me. He was actually leveling up a little to go, you haven't been in this situation. I'm gonna show you what it's like. Yeah. And then hoping I'd go away, but I was like, nah, I'm not going away. So I'm looking at the crowd. I'm like, let's get into this. So I'm lifting the crowd as I got into the second set, and serve and volley. I was like, I can't play him from the back of the court. And so I'm like, I have to get to the net and or bring him in. So I'm like short slicing, dragging him forward, making the Russian volley, and most of them can't. And it worked. It went on and won the second set 7-5. And there's a shot of me on the internet, super intense, so much emotion. Anyway, went on. I lost a match in 4 sets, but the emotional highs and lows can be very well shown by these photos. There's obviously no Instagram, Facebook back then, but there are photos where you can see me vividly experiencing the emotional roller coaster,
the highs and
that's my point, that I didn't know how to handle that, and if I was to do it again, I'd pass on a lot of the play awake process, and I would show that one how to be emotionally stable.
Nate, give us an insight. Tennis individually out there, you have to make those decisions to change your tactics in a game. You haven't got a coach that can come up to you, or can you get that eyesight, or how did you know I'm going to have to change the style of the way I'm playing Davydenko here if I want to compete?
Well, firstly, it was very blatant that I had to change something. In some matches you might get a few extra games, and then you're unsure of your strategy. But this was clear that he was just a better baseliner. And as far as coaching, it happens all the time. I mean, now it's allowed in the sport, but coaches are talking to the players and giving signals, and so I think opening it up just makes sense. It actually changed it a little bit, because I don't know, it's like that mystery of not being allowed to do something is when it becomes more powerful, I guess, for the coach and the student. But anyway, that's a whole other can of worms.
When you were at your best, what was your big weapon? Was it your serve, your forehand, your backhand volley? What was the thing that got you through to the third round of that Australian Open in particular? We keep referring to, because it was a great result for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, great absolutely. Yeah. I always had a pretty big forehand, I think. And my athleticism around the net, that's definitely something that I carried from even my days here at Gosford and being on the doubles court, and then playing professionally on there's so many doubles matches, and the faking and just moving all over the net, and then that was something that I used on the singles court. I mean, as a junior, I was diving around. I had blood all over my hips and knees, and I'd come off so dirty on clay court. But it was the athleticism and that the presence of coming forward and putting pressure on the opponent. On the opponent, that was my style.
Nate, tell us about the team tennis experience, the legends that you got to play with and against throughout those 2 years.
Team tennis is great. Lleyton, he'd have a laugh at this. He calls it Mickey Mouse tennis, or it's a circus or something. But I mean, I got to play with and against like Boris Becker, David Wheaton, McEnroe and Borg. I played with Borg against McEnroe. I played McEnroe in singles. He made fun of my ball toss. Never forgive him for that. But here I am actually at one of the matches, sitting in the player lounge with Borg and McEnroe, and I'm like, imagine the people that would just die to be here, the people that just love tennis and tennis history, and just legends of the game. And I'm like, how fortunate am I to be in this situation? But then you got the Williams sisters, playing with Venus, lovely soul. She's a great girl, and against her sister, beating her sister. And we won the team event in what year was it? I don't know,
2007? 2008?
It's a little late, 2008 maybe.
2008, yeah.
I played for an unknown team, and we just, we didn't have any superstars, marquee players on our team, and so we were able to, I don't know, it worked well. So we were the underdogs and took down McEnroe in the final.
How was he? Did he get cranky?
He did. He wasn't happy.
He wasn't happy.
Yeah, I still see him at different events. And we have
just bring it up every now and then.
He's a good, exactly. To rub it in.
That's right.
Hey, tell us what they were like. You're saying you're chewing the fat with them in the dressing room, away from the spotlight. Obviously, most people are different. What was McEnroe and Borg the likes like?
Well, Borg's quiet. You know, he's like you see. He was just a really nice guy, gentleman, respectful. And McEnroe, he'd play up to the crowd. But off the court, as your question, off the court, great guy. Loves tennis and loves the history. Loves talking about it. And just has that jovial personality that you see in the commentary box. And he's has that kind of lust for life.
On this exhibition matches, was there money? Did you make some money out of this? I mean, obviously you were playing against these icons, so was it worthwhile financially for you to be part of that team?
Absolutely. Yeah. Millions. No, not quite. But we got paid.
That's right. You're laughing about that. I'm just saying the first check.
And Nath, what all sports people dread is injuries, and you had to succumb to a groin injury. Tell us about how you handled that, knowing that your career was affected and was going to come to a halt.
I mein, the halt happened very abruptly, actually, but the injury lingered for about 6 months. Where I'd turn up at tournaments, work with the physios, just collect a paycheck, and in the anticipation that I'd get back out on tour, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. I had a baby on the way, and Lleyton asked me to come away with him, and so it was sort of in that moment that it was game over. And as soon as Lleyton started doing well and we had a great working relationship, it was like, all right, well, I guess I'm not playing professionally anymore. But it was, to land a coaching gig with Lleyton, former world number one, great friend, and having that baby on the way, there was a bit of pressure there to make sure I earned a living.
So you became basically an instant coach to a big name. I mean, what was the transition like immediately? You've got to go, I've got to coach this guy who's a great tennis player, and I've got to make sure he's successful. So how did you get into that role, and was it an easy transition?
I wouldn't say it was easy, but it definitely came natural to me. Going back to my days as that 10-year-old writing programs and just seeing what needs to be done. I'd be out scouting matches, so it was different, but it came pretty naturally. And then I'd look at Lleyton and see, okay, what does he need? A little tweak here. He's former world number one, right? He knows his way around a tennis court, but there are definitely little tweaks and these 1%ers that often athletes and coaches speak about that add up. And so we made little adjustments. He like I said, he just responded to my coaching style. He had an incredible ability to give up the employer hat on the court. So I was the boss on the court, he was the boss off the court. And that's something that I think young players can learn from, because there are a lot of yes man, no, yes sir, no sir coaches where the player has the reins the whole time.
Sure.
And that's, in my mind, not a healthy working relationship. So, it was a natural fit with Lleyton, and, we had a great run.
Hey, tell us what it was like for you. Obviously, preparation's similar when you're a coach and a player, but coming tournament time, you've obviously got to have a different hat on because you're the coach now. Where do you sit with that on how it affected you? You knew how to prepare as a player, but now you've got to be a coach watching the opponent. If they're getting on top of Lleyton in this case, his game, whether it needs tweaking. How different was that for you?
It was different that I wasn't the one in control, but Lleyton, he's so skillful. He's able to, put into practice what I was looking to pass on to him, and he trusted me. So I had him move to the net a lot and use his hands. He always had amazing hands around the net, but he chose to play at the baseline. That's where he was more comfortable. So he had to nudge outside his comfort zone to take on the better players, those top 10 players. And he was willing to do that, and that's where I just love our working relationship. It gets emotional, actually. It's pretty powerful to watch him feed off his box. You know, he was a bit disappointed if people weren't sitting, like the physio, if he wasn't there, or he went to the bathroom, he's like, where's Ivan? So he'd get fiery at times, but mostly it was very positive. Although he was going through a few injuries towards the later end of towards the end of his career, but he had that uncanny ability to put that aside and just channel all his energy into the match. And yeah, I mean, the win over Roger Federer in Halle, that was enormous to be a part of. He lost 15 matches.
I was going to ask you about that. Broke a 15-match losing streak against Roger. What was it like after he beat him? You know, when you went back to the dressing shed, you two? Party time.
There's always work to be done, and that's how my brain works. It's like, all right, we won Halle, now let's focus on Wimbledon. You know, so there were little. Yeah, of course we enjoyed it, but there were always like little things that can be done. That polish, it just can be done a little bit better. Yeah. But that was a huge win, and you know, just fun. A few strategic changes in that match, just. Yeah, I can dig into those, but yeah, it was fun.
Good. Tennis has played such a huge role in your life, Nate, even meeting your wife. Tell us about how that come about.
Oh, she just wanted a passport to Australia. No.
Nathan, can we go?
No, her father was president of the USTA, so they always loved tennis. So her family was a tennis family. Her mum played a bit, and yeah, Dad played in college. So, and like I said, he went on to be a president of the USTA. Had a lot to do with the Arthur Ashe Stadium being built. He was a lawyer as well. But so he had connections down here in Australia with our president at the time, was Jeff Pollard, and organised a job for her. And she just fell in love with Australia. So she come back multiple years, but it wasn't until 2004. I should know this, shouldn't I? It's 2004. We met at the Australian Open Player Party, and yeah, she was actually looking for someone else at the time. She ran into me.
Roger, probably Roger. Yes, or John.
No, she's like, are you David Ferrer? Oh, Andrew Ferrer. Sorry, are you Andrew Ferrer? And I'm like, no, I'm Nathan Healey. And I said, didn't you see me on the TV? So now it's a family joke, and my kids make fun of me. I got little mugs with me. I'm Nathan Healey. I was on the TV. So yeah. Anyway, we met at the player party, and then yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, I'm sure you're enjoying our podcast with Nathan Healey. Back with more in just a minute. But if you need quality concrete for your next project, look no further than Easy Mix Concrete at Berkeley Vale, your local family-owned concrete supplier right here on the Central Coast. Whether it's a driveway, shed, pool, or any job, big or small, Easy Mix Concrete has you covered. Reliable pre-mixed concrete, expert technical advice, and a great range of decorative finishes. Easy Mix brings your project to life, and their prices are very affordable. Proudly serving the coast for over 16 years. When you choose Easy Mix, you're supporting the local economy. Give them a call on 43884989 or see more at easymixconcrete.com.au.
Well, Nate, you're starting to build the ingredients, you know, as a player, the experience and knowledge you've gained. As a coach, you've met your wife, and the seed sows for Play Awake. Tell us about that, how it started and what that involves.
So yeah, I guess it did start when I met my wife in Melbourne. I said at the player party, which we did, but the day after we were in a yoga studio and in the hot yoga, and it was freaking hot. It was so hot, and I'm watching like
watching it.
80. Yeah, I was watching it. I was watching these 80-year-olds, 70, 80-year-olds, or whatever around me in these crazy positions, and I'm dying. And I hear it, you know, I'm thinking I'm fit and in great shape, and an hour and a half of Bikram yoga. I don't know if you guys have done it.
No,
it's intense, and so I come out of the room and I said to her, "Damn, that was hot." Just pool of sweat, like. You know, and so that's where the yoga started, and then so I really started to understand my body a little bit more and the mind, and just became more and more interested. But yeah, the journey through the yoga room up until my aortic aneurysm, which I'm sure we'll touch on, but. Sure. You know, and then it was just a blend of learning things. You know, when I was with Lleyton, I always say that's when I became a student of the game. But yeah, you throw in the yoga, that was the starting point, as well as Eckhart Tolle's teachings, The Power of Now. I used that before I was coaching. when I was back in Philadelphia. So I was with Lleyton 2 years, and then I stopped with him and was back in my wife's hometown of Philadelphia, just outside of Philly, and I drive the car and listen to Eckhart, and I drop in, and I just noticed life flowed, and my coaching was super clear. My mind was sharp, and I'm like, wow, this is potent. And then that's when I ended up playing a few more tournaments, money tournaments, while I was coaching back in Philadelphia. Yeah. And I won these 70 matches and lost 3, and I was like blown away at how easy the sport was, and how much, when I was on tour, how much I pushed. And it was just so effortless when I was in that meditative state. And I'd win these matches that I would normally have these battles in, but I'd win them easy, and the opponent would just go away. And these guys, some of them were like 120 in the world. Yeah, it'd be like 3-1, 4-2, and they just fade away. Yeah, I was always, just fascinated by. Also, about the joy that would come in for the game, and it wouldn't be that competitive battlefield anymore. To be more of a dance with my opponent. And I'd have these great chats with them after the match, and I'm like, this is how sport should be. Yeah. So it was a total different approach. How I approached it when I was on tour.
Was the pressure off you to perform? Did you look at it go, I'm in this circuit, but it's not Grand Slam stuff, and I can relax and I can enjoy the game? Was that how it felt for you?
Yeah, there's definitely that element to it. I mean, I was earning money coaching, so it wasn't like fighting for my next meal. At times it felt like that while I was on tour. But there was more to it than just that. Because it was still like I would like to win this tournament. So there was still that desire, but it was like I just approached it in a whole different way. My warm-ups on tour were like super intense. I'd be getting a sweat up prior to the match, and I'd run. At one point I was running, I had a coach that was with me, Troy McDonald, that's running me side to side on the practice court for an hour, and then I'd run out and then I'd just go straight on court. And I felt like at times it worked. I smoked Fabio Fognini once, I remember that. But now it was like sitting quietly, going through a few shadow drills, picturing, visualizing the patterns of play that I want to see happen, picturing myself winning the match. So using all the play awake tools, but at that stage I didn't really, I was still working on how to explain it. It was just that I was testing it out myself, and I was blown away at what I was able to do. I mean, the visualizing backspin drop shots, prior to a point, and then having it happen. I'm like, okay, that's just wild, because the physics that's in that, making that ball spin, hit the court, and slide back over the net is kind of radical. So that's sort of like a brief synopsis of Play Awake and where it was born.
How hard is it, Nate, instilling this into your athletes? So I know Cam McAvoy has changed swimming by his training methods now. It's not the quantity, it's the quality of how he goes about it. But he said he's trying to do that with other swimmers. But in your case, the tools that are needed. How hard is it to instill into those players, especially the ones that are intense,
Yeah, well, I just weave it into my coaching sessions. So if I see a player is holding tension in their face or the shoulders and they're really pushing hard, I'll say, keep working, but relax your upper body. Notice your breathing. Notice the tension in your face. Let it melt away. So I'm almost taking through a guided meditation during practice. Have them visualize their between point routines. So it's a lot of. I think in the past a lot of players are reluctant to do it. Now there's a willingness to do it, but I still don't think many players are actually doing this deeper work, and particularly the limiting belief stuff, which is there's 4 steps to the Play Awake process, which is presence, analyze, visualize, experience. So it spells PAVE. So I've coined it pave your way. So presence is obviously the meditation. The analysis is analysing what happened during a match, both internal and external, and then any limiting beliefs that come through that analysis, is what we take to inquiring and unraveling those beliefs, so then the player can show up more fully. Then V is visualize, and then E is experience, which brings in the gratitude and just the joy of, of being there in the first place.
Yeah. You mentioned aortic aneurysm that you suffered while you were in the US, which would have been, a frightening experience for you, where fitness was such a major part of your life leading up. That would have been pretty hairy for you, wasn't it, while you were over there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those life-turning events. It was terrifying, and all those adjectives. I was at home, Pennsylvania, with my youngest child, felt tightness across my chest, felt dizzy for a moment, began to sweat, sat down on the couch, and then I thought I'd better call my wife, because she wasn't there. She was out with my eldest on a bike ride. Called her, said, I think I just had a heart attack. And she rushes home, and all of a sudden I'm in the local hospital, about an hour and a half out of Philadelphia. Nurses, doctors come in, and they check me out, and they thought it was pericarditis, which is swelling of the heart tissue. But after a couple of hours, my wife had gone home, and a doctor comes in, and he said, how you going? He said, you need open heart surgery ASAP.
Gee.
And we can't do it here. So the wife comes back in, whisked away in an ambulance. They wanted to send a helicopter, but there was too much fog. Yeah. So ambulance rushing down to Philadelphia University of Pennsylvania Hospital. Was met with the surgeon. Surgeon said, chances aren't good. I'll see what I can do.
Wow.
So that took my breath away, but being the optimist, I heard, well, there's a chance, right? 12-hour surgery, and I was able to repair my aortic valve that had ruptured, and
fantastic.
And as well as many other of the valves in there. So he did some miracle work, and it's in all these journals now. So it's great to be here to tell the story, and now it's a gift, right? I mean, it does feel like a new lease on life.
Well, Nate, the Irish were looking after you because it was St Patrick's Day and they still wanted Nathan Healey around. Do you look at the world through different eyes in all aspects of your life now?
Absolutely. Yeah, the gratitude piece that I was talking to before, I'll be walking the dog to the beach out in Shelley Beach and just appreciating, the air on the skin, the sun, the trees, just take those moments, and then my heart beating, obviously. But being with the simple things in life, and just taking a moment when it gets too serious, which my wife helps me with. She's like, you're taking this way too serious, including this podcast.
I've got to ask you, when you were coaching and being on the circuit, tennis parents, there's been some infamous ones, as we all know. And did you experience any of that as coaching, whoever you were coaching at the time, or maybe you saw firsthand some of the behaviour of some of the parents?
I mean, there's definitely some intensity once you start climbing the levels, and I guess the financial gains get on the mind. That's where the art form of certainly starts to fall away, and so their parents get a little antsy at that. And I often say they're the most undereducated group in sport. There is that education that has to take place, and that's where I invite parents on the court with me. And I offer to do well-being sessions with them as well as their kids. This is the online work that I'm doing. But just talking through their beliefs. What are you thinking and believing? But there's some wild stories out there.
I'm sure there are.
I mean, obviously Yelena had a tough time, and she shares that openly. But
Mary Pierce was
Mary
another.
Pierce, the list goes on, doesn't it? Sharapova's challenging at times, for sure.
Part of the game.
Nate, you convinced your wife and your family that part of your rehab you have to move back to Australia, and you did some commentary. Tell us what that experience was like, being a commentator at the Australian Open.
Yeah, that was fun. That was great. I worked for Channel 7 for a week or so. Definitely a competitive environment as well. But the radio, that was fun with Brett Phillips down in the bunker. He's a great commentator. He has the First Serve show, which he's taken to new heights, and great guy, just easy to bounce off like you gentlemen. But down there witnessing Novak play against Andy Murray, and just as I said, the bunker, like you have this different perspective of the game and see all these opportunities. You can move to the net and take it out of the air. But, no, it was fun. Yeah, it's something I'd like to maybe do a little bit more of. So we'll see where life leads.
Well, of course, it's live, isn't it? You know, your commentary. You can't go back and say, "Oh, I'd like to take that comment back and say something else," but it's live, so it's off the cuff, isn't it? And you handled that all right. Did you enjoy that?
I did. Yeah. I haven't listened to it. I think you'd learn a lot from listening to yourself.
Like now, you're going to hear yourself.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to this one.
Well, and Nate, you've got the experience to be able to compare what Australia's like to the US as far as you worked at the country club in Pennsylvania. Tell us what that experience is like as opposed to the Australian youngsters coming up through the tennis world.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different environment, country club life. You've got a lot of housewives. There was probably 100 women that were playing tennis and playing paddle tennis as well. Played on these platforms and so it's a year-round racket sport club, wonderful club. But different challenge managing all those women, but also managing the staff as well. And just having meetings and about things that we were focusing on, running events. They were new for me to take on. So different challenge. Running a tournament. That's where I first, which I played in. But raising money for the club and raising money for the tournament. But it was definitely another rounding experience for me personally and professionally.
When you said organising a tournament, did you give yourself a good rating, a good seeding? Were you number one seed? What were you?
Absolutely. We went straight through to the final.
Straight through to the final, exactly it. Now, back in Australia and second life as a coach, Max Purcell. So how do you rate his, development under you? Because he won the Wimbledon and US Open doubles, 22 and 24. So it must have been another, feather in your cap, if you like, as a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I met Max. My wife, for some reason, wanted to go down to Melbourne for the Australian Open. I wasn't working with anyone. I'm like, really? All right, let's go. So I bumped into Max there. I gave him my play away philosophy and obviously a few points landed, and he called me about a week later and said, hey, would you mind linking up for a few sessions? They went well. He liked what I had to say and what I had to offer. And we did a lot of work on the court, but also the off-court work definitely helped him really tap into his potential. And then 2020, that really shined through with him reaching the final of the Australian Open doubles after being a wild card, also qualifying for the Australian Open singles. He played against Yannick Sinner. He's played him a couple of times, but it was pretty amazing to. I mean, he's a great kid, great work ethic, amazing backhand, and we did a lot of polishing of the game, but I enjoyed seeing what happened when we delve into the mental stuff. And I picture vividly the third round of that Australian Open in 2020. I was sitting in the box and I just felt super connected to Max. And I had this signal of like dropping in, drop in, stay in that meditated place. That was it. And he did, and he just rocked it. And I was in tears after the match, and I turned to Luke Seville's coach at the time, and who he has an understanding of all this stuff, and I said, do you even care about the trophy at the end of this, what we're actually supposedly going after? So I said, that's it right there. That's, we talk about the journey being the reward. It doesn't get much deeper than those feelings that are running through right there. So I was super proud of how he handled himself. And how open and willing he was to delve into this stuff. And that's, being in the yoga room here on the Central Coast of the Leagues Club, I think that all was part of the foundations that allowed him to shine.
Nate, Sam Groth, another one, a totally different game. He's got the big serve. What was it like working with him?
Yeah, it was only a few weeks with Grothy, but definitely has a cannon. He's 6'4", massive arms. It was too short to really have a deep perspective on. But that serve he could give it a whack, and went on to a good career, and I think he made top 50 in the world in single. That was after we were together, but. Great guy. Went into commentary, and now I believe he's in politics.
Right. So when you were coaching him, did you say, "Look, let's have a bit of a hit," and down comes this rocket? So you're on the other side of the net there.
It is enormous. That debate between cricketers, baseball, standing on the mound. I don't know. When you got Grothy serve coming at you, it's massive. I played against Roddick. Beat Roddick in a doubles match in England, leading into the Aussie Open, into Wimbledon. But Grothy serves bigger. I'd have to say. Yeah.
Nate, throughout your career and with Play Awake, what's the best piece of advice you've been given that you now pass on to others?
Ooh, best piece of advice. Well, two come to mind. One from my father. He was always. He'd always say, "Who's the best? Who's the best?" And he says it till this day to all his students, and it'd be that answer. He'd put the mic in your face, and he'd have to go, "I am." And if he said it too quietly, it'd be like, "No, say it again. I am." Say it from. He didn't use this language. Say it from the power center. Really let it out and believe it. So there's that one, and then also from Byron Katie, a quote. So she's one of my gurus, and that's part of the process that I use in Play Awake. And her quote is, "Life happens for you, not to you." So in every situation, you have a choice to be a victim, or you have that opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
And that's probably the greatest pieces of advice I can think of.
Yeah, mate. Before we go, Australian tennis, a bit of a resurgence. We've got some really good players on the world tour, doing quite well, very very well against Alcaraz and Singer, just to mention too. So is tennis in a good, healthy state at the moment in Australia, do you think?
At the higher levels for sure. Nine players in the top 100 male, and I think 4 female. The men making finals of the Davis Cup a couple of years ago. It's quarterfinal, semis. With Lleyton at the helm, I think it's in a good place. However, the junior tournaments, not so much. I think more can be done there. I just feel like there's a lot of choices for sports at the moment. I heard Steve McKenzie talking about that with football and all the other choices that parents and kids have. So and generally tennis, it takes a while. Meaning you're at the courts for long periods of time, and parents and everyone wants that kind of in and out sport. The one with the time limit. Tennis doesn't have a time limit.
That's right.
So I think, there's challenges for sure. Pickleball has taken off as well. That's enormous. I've been playing that on Wednesday nights at Batto Bay, PCYC.
That's right. Give them a plug.
So it's been fun learning that one. But hopefully that doesn't eat into tennis too much.
Well, Nate, you're currently coaching tennis at Central Coast Grammar School, as well as Gosford and Wyong tennis courts, working with Clint Newcomb, John Newcomb's son. But Nate today, the Nathan Healey today in his mid-40s, has a conversation with a 16-year-old Nathan Healey. What does he say?
Take it easy. I'm looking up there at Easy FM. Take it easy, not so serious. And learn your mind, learn who you are. Unravel any limiting beliefs, like I'm not good enough. And you're not performing for anyone else. And I think that was told to me, but I think this is where this deeper contemplation comes in, really getting honest with that actually I am doing this for my parents right now, and why. And so the process is pretty powerful. So I'd take myself through the PAVE process and teach him to play awake.
Yeah, and avoid some of the after-match parties.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nathan, it's been fantastic. We really enjoyed having a chat to you and your career in tennis and your life as well. Thanks very much for being available for our CCS Victory Rap Sports podcast, and all the very best for the future, mate.
Thank you so much. Thanks
Pleasure,
for having me
Nate.
on the show. I'll have to do it again.
That was good.
Mate, that was great.
Thanks.
Really good, mate. Excellent.
Thanks, boys.
Excellent.
Very
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
It's been fascinating.
That was fun.
We'll start